And so that's very important when we look at this. And so in the last 30 days, we've had a total of
Boston real estate market update. Adam, update us on the market. What's going on?
Well, it has been a very busy market these last few weeks. We're right in the thick of the spring market now. Typically in Boston, the spring market goes from middle of February through the middle to end of June. And so we're really right in the thick of it now. Very little inventory and just a tremendous amount of buyers. We have a lot of people who would love to sell their homes, particularly in the suburbs, but because they could get record amounts for their home. The problem is a lot of these individuals, they tend to be baby boomers and seniors who no longer want to be in their large homes. They have nowhere to go, and if they sell their home, they're just right back in the race with everyone else to buy something. Normally we'd be seeing a lot of these boomers and seniors right now listing their homes, getting their homes ready for sale. Those individuals are sort of deciding to stay put for at least another year, which has caused, unfortunately, a glut in the market. We have a ton of buyers because the interest rates are so great. Yeah. We've got high paying jobs here in the Boston area, and people want to own and take advantage of those low interest rates. Yeah. And so we're seeing a lot of buyers, very little inventory, and so that's kind of where we're at. I did a brief little report here. So just looking at Boston and condos, and I looked at condos because specifically condos are the majority of the type of real estate that you are going to have in Boston. You're not going to see single family homes as much as condo units. So I took a look at the last 30 days in Boston. Currently, right now, there are a total of about 578 units that are active in the market. And that is, again, that's a lower number than we would normally see. The other thing, again, keeping in mind with Boston, is last year during the height of the pandemic, the market in Boston proper had come down. There wasn't as much interest in wanting to move into the city. And so we're now starting to see a bit more of an uptick. Things are starting to slowly get back to normal with people moving into the city. That said, though, 576 units is still a fairly small amount. So that's what's active. We've got about 700, just under 700 pending. So that means they're either under agreement or they are contingent on a home inspection or mortgage approval or something like that. But then what's really telling is the sold properties. And I always look at this one with the greatest scrutiny because, as we all know, Brian, a home is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
Yes.
And so that's very important when we look at this. And so in the last 30 days, we've had a total of 453 homes sold. The average list price of those homes is just under $880,000. And the average sale price of those homes is around $860,000. So those are very robust numbers. We're seeing, slightly under what the listing price is. Again, these are all averages, but well within, the margins there, within about a $10,000 to $20,000 difference. What's interesting to note, and is not surprising, is when we go back a year and we look at the numbers, the average list price a year ago for the same period of time was $913,000, and the average sale price was $904,000. So that tells me again that, due to the pandemic, the numbers have come down a bit. As such, those who are trying to take advantage of a softer market in the city, whether they be investors or just someone who says, I'm excited to live in the city and I think I can get a good deal. Those are the types of buyers right now who are buying in the city. We're seeing actually a higher number this year of actives than we did last year at this time as a result.
Oh, wow. So more condominiums that are for sale currently than compared to last year.
That's right, exactly. That's correct. And I was surprised at that. I thought the number would be lower, but then when I looked at the dollars amounts, it made sense. Obviously the listing prices are lower this year, the sale prices are lower, and as such, the numbers of sales have gone up now that buyers and investors are seeing that they can get, quote unquote, deals or better deals on properties. Yeah,
that's super interesting. So I guess what's next? So we're according to these numbers and stuff, how's things going to continue? I guess what's.
Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be making a ton of money. That's a great question. That's literally the $1 million question. I think that as we continue to move forward with vaccinations, people are going to start feeling more comfortable again being out and potentially listing their home. And once that happens, we should hopefully start to see the numbers regulate themselves again a little bit. On average right now, the average buyer is writing anywhere from 3 to 5 offers on a property before getting one accepted. And buyers are having to do things they normally wouldn't do, like waiving inspection contingencies or even mortgage contingencies, which can be, buyers are also having to agree to waive appraisal contingencies. So for example, as you know, when you buy a home, unless you're paying cash, you are financing it through a bank, and the bank has to send out their own appraiser. If the appraiser comes back and says, well, we only value this home at $600,000 and you're buying it for $650,000, well, now all of a sudden there's an issue with that extra $50,000. And so a lot of buyers are basically saying, look, I'm not going to be willing to renegotiate if the number is higher. I'll just bring that extra money to the closing table. And so that is something that we don't typically see in buyers markets, certainly, and something that is really kind of unheard of. But buyers are doing it because they're really desperate to buy. And I think a lot of buyers are getting, a little bit caught up in the competition, in the heat of battle, if you will.
Yeah.
And I've heard already more than one story where, buyers will pay more than they should for a home. Buyers are buying homes that are now, they're spending more money than they really should be. They are then paying money to refurbish it or to renovate it or for furniture or whatever. And now they're starting to have some buyer's remorse because now all of a sudden, they kind of got caught up in the heat of battle with outbidding other buyers. And now they're in the most expensive house on a street that's not worth the value that they paid for it. And according to the bank. And we're seeing that, we're starting to see that a little bit with some people who have purchased. I'm happy to say that hasn't happened with any of my clients, but certainly I have heard of that happening through other colleagues of mine. So I've sort of gone way off the deep end with answering your question, but I hope the bottom line is I hope that as we continue to move further into 2021, as we get more vaccinations and hopefully as COVID subsides, knock on wood, yes, the market will even itself out a little bit.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of us hope the same thing as well.
Yeah.
For the sake of everyone's sanity. Thanks for that market update.
Of course.
Cool.
Hey guys, if you're liking this content and are eager to hear more, I would encourage you to keep on watching. Click on the button to subscribe, and you will be the first to get new fresh content as soon as I put it on the internet.